All right, welcome you guys. How you doing today? Let's see what's going on for today. We have some things going on in the sky. Jupiter is going to be going retrograde later this week. It is in Aries right now, and we also have Chiron in Aries in retrograde. And so we'll look at that a little bit later in the week. I'm also going to look at talking about some of the things I have seen in synastry charts with couples. We're going to talk more about the twin flame work that I've been doing later this week and all the way through August. I'm going to be making a lot more videos about this, and just seeing soul contracts in astrology in synastry charts. If you want to get a good grounding in your own astrology birth chart or astrological birth chart, there is a class tonight I am teaching. It is a basics of birth chart class. So if you want to kind of get grounded before we start talking about all these aspects, before I start like kind of going into a big place, check out the class. All right, we'll see you tonight. All right, so achievement. The message. Ooh, is that two? No, it's one. That's an interesting comment to make. And Gaia, wisdom, knowledge, spiritual understanding. So the teachers among you are starting to open up more. The message that wants to come through, positive news, positive outcome. I feel like with Chiron in retrograde and Jupiter in retrograde later this week, I feel like we are seeing our deepest core wounds and seeing how they can, the acknowledgement of them or the activation of them can heal humanity. So we're talking about the wounded healer here primarily with Chiron. So individual action is required, individual healing, individual work, doing your soul work, doing contract work. And it does have to do with kind of this like self-nurturing, all right? And not being kind of down on yourself or, being upset with yourself for not being further along or not being, more whatever, not being more, being fine, being right now, how you are right now is perfect and fine and exactly where you need to be. So somebody needs to hear that. Okay. And that message sometimes feels comforting and other times, you can be out of phase in something, you can be out of alignment in something, and right away you reject that you're okay, that you're perfect right where you are. And so that's part of the healing, is that everything is headed toward your spiritual advancement. Just assume everything is for your highest good, what you're experiencing. Even if you're looking at something or experiencing something that you're labeling as negative, it's still here for your highest good. Okay. And we'll talk more about that as we get into some of these astrological soul contract, and especially the ones around Pluto, which is the karmic planet. And whenever you have Pluto in aspect to another person's personal planets, sun, moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, and the rising sign and the north node sign, whenever you have a Pluto aspect, especially a square, it's challenging. All right, it's challenging. I'll talk more about that. All right, 4 wands, 6 of swords, 10 of pentacles, and the 6 of wands. Oh, thank God. That's beautiful. Yay, Ace of swords. See? Fool. All right, moon. Yep. Okay, so some of you have a fear of success or a fear, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of comments about, that's ridiculous, a fear of success. But if you have ever been in a family where you make yourself small to survive, then having success or having some kind of happiness and joy, and it makes your energy bigger. And then a lot of people can feel like they're going to get bumped off, or they're going to collapse, or it's going to, crash to the ground, or that can be like the source of, fear, moon, even in times of success, even in times of, great creation. There can be an undercurrent or an unrecognized or unacknowledged fear. If fear is coming up and things like out here look fine, but there's a lot of anxiety, then it's likely an old memory. It's an old fear that resurfaces. Okay. So just know that the Page of Cups, the Eight of Cups. I like the Six of Swords and the Eight of Cups. We're going in this direction. Beautiful energy here. Six of Wands, the Moon, and the Six of Cups. Some kind of romance or some kind of, feeling of joy and happiness, starting something brand new. And the Moon, Moon you can see is fear, that's for sure. But there's a Piscean dreaminess, right? Ruled by Neptune. And the Moon energy is also about how you feel your feelings. It's okay to feel how you're feeling, right? All of that kind of stuff. Ace of Swords and the Fool, to me, is very much about taking action on your truth, and then what happens if something bad happens, right? We get right to the Fool. I feel like you're in a connection or in a community or in a group, because Four of Wands, 10 of Pentacles, Six of Wands, these are all communal, and Six of Swords, Six of Cups, there's community here. It's only in your private moments that you may feel very vulnerable. Okay, you may feel a little scared, but you're heading in a direction on this path that is very positive. Okay, it's very positive. It can be around creating some kind of community. I don't want to say action, but like uncovering the wounds of community so that they can be healed. And that is what's happening with the Pluto. Remember I said about Pluto. Pluto is in retrograde, and we are Pluto, I'm talking about the Pluto return. Sorry, not retrograde. Pluto return, which it is in retrograde in Capricorn right now, but the Pluto return is what I'm talking about in the United States. So things need to come to the surface in order to be healed. If they don't, it's kind of like just putting, spackle over cockroaches. Just painting the wall and not really doing the foundational work isn't going to work. It's just going to crack and mold and be all kinds of terrible stuff if the disease, boy, that's a strong word, okay? But like if the wounds are not seen, recognized, embraced, loved, healed, given the correct amount of nurturance by the community, it almost feels here like this is a bigger spiritual message, then we have to kind of jump into it. Then they will continue to show up. And as we move into the age of Aquarius, we are at this time of really excising, extracting anything that is going to show up later that is not helpful, right? Like, so it's like time to face the fear right now and move beyond it. And then there's this beautiful energy of Page of Cups and Six of Cups, the Eight of Cups here, walking forward, feeling that there is I don't want to say olive branch, but some kind of settlement or some kind of detente, some kind of, we've come to some agreement. And I think that as we get later in 2022, if there's no compromise agreed to, then there will be no right kind of coming together. Then the decision will be made to have moved on, right? In a relationship, if there's no compromise, then there's no compatibility, then there's no ability to, there's nothing to build anything on, because basically you're saying you like Chinese food and they like Italian food, and I'm talking about a stupid dinner, but that's fine, right? Like whatever. But if we can't say, well, I'm not really in the mood for Chinese, well, I'm not really in the mood for Italian, okay, then let's do this, or let's grill some steaks and make a salad and all of it. Let's do something else. So it doesn't mean you don't have to like Chinese food and you don't have to like Italian, but for this moment, if there's a conversation to continue, there must be some kind of compromise. And if no compromise is reached, then we're not having dinner together. All right, you go to Chinese place, I'm going to go to Italian, see ya, right? Like that's kind of what happens when there's no compromise. So I feel like although the compromise cannot be super out of alignment with values. We have North Node in Taurus right now. If you value a certain thing, right? Like if you, I'm thinking, oh, let's talk about food again, because it's kind of an easy simile or an easy way to look at it. If you are allergic to something, no, that's a body reaction. If you have had food poisoning by something and you're like, yeah, never eating that again, even 20, 30 years later, just like, nope, not going there. There's like an underlying reason for it. And the other person can kind of be like, oh, all right, I get it. So it's kind of like, you need to speak your truth about it. You're just like, yeah, I don't like it because I had a bad experience with it. So I hope you understand. Okay, get it. Totally get it. But if there's just this staunch, like, no, I hate it. I hate that. I hate this. Then it's hard to reason with that because it's an emotional reaction without a lot of context. And the context might be something that the other person's values don't align with. Just like, okay, that doesn't really work for me. I'm not really there. And so you can see an incompatibility there. Okay. So in this storyline, in this instance, we are talking about building something together. So this could be a relationship, this could be a business, this could be community, this could be a lot of different things. It's about building it together, especially when I see this 10 of Pentacles here. And I feel like there's some kind of need to really identify values, identify what you believe in. North Node in Taurus. Identify the values that you are aligned with. Okay? When North Node is in Taurus, it is a karmic path for all of us, right? You might have your North Node in something else, but we all experience the transit energy. So you're being asked right now, maybe you're leaving a certain job or a certain relationship because it no longer, like, you're aware of a conflict with your own values or what you feel is a worthwhile cause or what you think is important to you. What's important to you matters. Okay? It's not just some random nonsense. You have created a value system based on, probably started with your family, and then you know, as you went along in life, you learned some lessons. So this is not that important to me. I'm recognizing that this was a family value, but it's not important to me. Okay, fine. But whatever it is, internally, this Ace of Swords is willing to move forward in this connection, despite there's some kind of fear here. So I'm going to do some clarity because of maybe an alignment with values or an alignment with what we want to create together. So the moon, please clarify the moon. Star, healing, sun, beautiful energy here. 2 of Wands and the Magician. Wow. All right. So the message here is about the values of a connection need to be aligned in order for it to move forward. And there's something here about a healing connection that is going to bring happiness because you have courage in the face of this fear. You're like, oh, you know, like that fear of success, right? You're like, okay, guess what? That's an irrational fear. It was rational at one point that if I got too big in my family or if I got too successful, that they would sort of, you know, shun me or that I would be cut off by my family or something like that. That fear is recognized as an unconscious fear. And now seeing what fear is the expression of an out of alignment, unconscious belief that is really not going against your values or going against your truth or not real, right? The moon, it's illusion. So it doesn't mean fears aren't rational. I'm not saying that. There can be a lot of irrational fears and there can be rational fears. In this particular instance, I'm saying that you're seeing that this fear is an irrational one. It is something that you've internalized that isn't really the truth. And so you've been behaving and kind of, holding yourself back out of this fear all this time. And now it's coming conscious. Now we're seeing it. So the healing can happen. Happiness can happen. It's a decision. It's not a sentence. It's not a, this is who you are. Okay. It's an experience that happened, like the food poisoning, right? It's an experience that happened. It's not who you are. But the values, if they're out of alignment with that, can really bring this to the surface. And so we get to see it. Good. Thank you. Thank you, fear. Thank you for showing me what's going on here. I'm having these, nightmares. I'm having this, hard time sleeping. I've heard a lot of you talking about that. And there's a lot of things right now that are trying to come to the surface so you can evaluate them and determine if that's your path forward. If that's the path you want to manifest. Do you want to manifest a smaller path? Are you afraid of being vulnerable in love? Are you afraid of abandonment? Are you afraid of, fill in the blank? But right now that's being shown to you and you get to decide. Okay, I see how this is manifesting in my life, and it's impeding my ability to manifest the life I'm looking to create. And I feel like right now that's what's happening. You're seeing the things, the subconscious fears or belief systems that are keeping you from success and love and joy and happiness and all of that. Now, the rest of this year is really a time to heal, because in January, we will get a new opportunity to put this into play. So July and January, these two bookends here, I can talk about that in a different video. There's a lot to it about transits and things that are going retrograde and all kinds of stuff. But the upshot is that we've been given an opportunity in July to suss out what has been keeping us back or holding us back. So a lot of times it's us. It's our own delusional beliefs that if I become successful or if I become happy, that I will be crushed because I'm not worthy of it, or it's not right. So like you're seeing now, I love this, that you're starting to see your own worth and value. That's why this can be coming up. It's very interesting. So I'm going to continue on with this. I will special messages here for Gemini, Leo, Aquarius, Pisces. Gemini, Leo, Aquarius, Pisces. Okay, so I will do that in the extended. I'll also look at the message. I'll read you this, okay? And we'll keep going with the reading. Link is below if you want to continue on. But for Pathfinders, it starts right now. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If it was helpful to you, please consider liking this video and sharing it with anybody who might have a need for similar kind of information. And if you like this video, check out these videos.